Let's start with tomorrow night's games. Michigan State, Kansas State, let's throw them up on the screen, is the first to tip off at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. A lot of survivor implications there. By the way, I'm at the point, Kelley, in life where if my girlfriend says something to me about something, I answer her, but in my head, all I'm going is Michigan State Thursday or Creighton Friday. That's all I got. Michigan State, Kansas State, with Michigan State now the favorite, 1.5-point favorite. Arkansas, UConn tips off 45 minutes later. UConn, the 3.5-point favorite, a 4-8 game. Then 6 p.m. Eastern, it is FAU. Your Owls, Will, who you have going to the Final Four from your Megapod appearance against number 4 Tennessee. Tennessee is a 5.5-point favorite in seedings. We're talking here when I talk about the numbers. And then 45 minutes after that, it's the nightcap. Gonzaga, UCLA, maybe the best one on paper, UCLA, 2.5-point favorites. Which of those four do you like best? How many bets you make?
Boy, the one I would like best, I would stick with my Owls. I just think 5.5 is a lot of points. I think it wasn't that long ago. Everyone's down on Tennessee. Now they beat Duke, and everyone expects them to win this game. I'm not so sure. I think this will be a close game, low scoring. Tennessee still has a lot of issues on offense. Florida Atlantic can really spread the floor with their guard play. And I mentioned this, in previous appearances this week. That was a tough spot for Florida Atlantic on Sunday night. Everyone rooting against them. They're not used to being the favorite. They're not used to having a target on their back. And they're up 11 or 12, and next thing you know, they're down by 5 points. The whole building's going crazy, rooting for them to lose. That was a tough spot to get out of. So I think they can sort of catch their breath, and I think they'll play well tomorrow. I think they'll be right in that game, and I actually think they win that game. I really like Florida Atlantic plus the 5.5. And I like UConn. I think that's a tough matchup for Arkansas. They really rely on getting to the rim to score. A lot of their points come at the basket. That UConn team is a tough team to finish against at the rim. There's so much size, so much strength. They're just so physical that if you make Arkansas beat you shooting the ball, I don't know that they can do it. And Arkansas does have a habit of leaving some of these shooters open on the perimeter. That's also a bad recipe against UConn. And, boy, I know Nick Smith's supposed to be like this top 7, top 10 pick. I don't know. It's not like I watch him every game, but when I do watch him, I'm not like blown away like, oh man, this guy's an NBA All-Star, top 10 no-brainer pick. I'm shocked by that.
Supposed to be a lottery pick. Dr. Bob was the one who came on and quantified for it last week, where he's like, I remember asking him, I was like, does Eric Musselman know these stats that you're dishing out? It really is. It's almost like Arkansas benefited by accident, right? Because he was like, oh, we can't play him right now. Let's see what happens. And it went very well for them.
Yeah, that's a strange one. It just doesn't pass the eye test. Look, maybe 3 years from now he's in the NBA and he's a multi-time All-Star and he's killing it. I don't know. I watch the games and I don't think he's this great player. But back to the games, I don't love the other two. I'm probably going to end up going with Michigan State and Survivor. I do lean towards Michigan State in the game. I think they'll have an advantage rebounding the ball. They shoot the three well. They don't shoot a lot of them. I haven't bought into this Kansas State team. That was a nice win against Kentucky. I thought Montana State would play well against them. They just seem to find ways to win these games. I thought they really stole that game from Kentucky. Down 4 at the 4-minute mark. Kentucky couldn't make a shot. Kansas State hit some wild shots. I know it's cliche, but I think you have to go with Izzo in this spot. Now, if it gets up to 3, I think it's 2 now. If it gets up to 3, that the line's getting away from you. But I lean towards Michigan State in that game. As far as the Zags UCLA, I have no feel for that game. I know Gonzaga's going to want to get up and run up and down the court. UCLA is going to want to slow the game down. So that's an interesting clash of styles. And I think I saw this. This is the 17th year anniversary of the game where Adam Morrison was crying and Gonzaga blew the game. It falls exactly to the day, which is strange.
Which, by the way, I've said this many times before on the show. If you ever want to go back on YouTube and listen to anything, like if you ever wanted a sports announcing opera, it was that game. It was the Adam Morrison crying game. Gus Johnson and Len Elmore. Where Gus going crazy, Len Elmore in complete disbelief. And I'm getting chills just even talking about it. It was just so awesome from a broadcast standpoint. Some would argue Gus has never reached that height, has never quite reached that mountaintop again, but that moment was phenomenal so many years ago.
And Elmore doesn't do the games anymore, right? I haven't seen him in a while. I don't think he does the games anymore.
University of Maryland, great, Will. Len Elmore. Sure.
What was the scenario? I knew Gonzaga blew a late lead in that game. What were the particulars? I'm trying to think back. Was it like
there were missed free throws involved, okay. I think I remember. Yeah. I'll have to go back and look. But, yeah, it was – and Adam Morrison, who, again, for those young now, probably like, who's Adam Morrison? He was one of if not considered the best player in college basketball at that moment, at least top 3.
It was him and Reddick. It was him and Reddick that were just going back and forth for the player of the year as we go down memory lane here.
Yeah,
he drafted 3rd overall. So in that game, Gonzaga led by 15 at half, 9 with 3 minutes to go.
That's a tough one.
Brutal. A few things, just reactions to what you were saying. I agree with you about Marquise Noel. Like, he was just unbelievable for Kansas State. Could he duplicate that kind of performance? I don't know. With all the stars that are mentioned in this tournament so far, I actually think that your point about Florida Atlantic in the second half is a great one. And Janelle Davis was a man amongst boys. Like, just when you thought Florida Atlantic had no answers, he calmly got back out on the court. He's like, I got this. And they rolled. And I just thought it was an amazing performance. We also talked about how Houston's second half performance was great in terms of just really fighting back from a deficit and being great in the moment. Houston coming back from a 10-point deficit against Auburn at the half. The Michigan State comment about Survivor, let me just seize on that before we go to break. I think I'm taking them as well. Those of us who have taken Florida Atlantic don't have that option. I think I'm taking them as well, but I think everybody's probably taking them in seed incentivized pools. So I would imagine it's going to be a massive percentage, but I like it in the end, but we could all be out very quickly, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's either that or you risk running out of teams because I want to go UConn Friday, probably want to go Creighton on Saturday. So I don't know what else. I mean, sometimes you just got to do it.
Other way around. Creighton Friday, UConn Saturday.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Yeah. Let's go to Friday night. Survivor implications as well. We already sort of called the shot on Friday. Creighton looks pretty obvious as a 10-point favorite against Princeton. Princeton obviously will have something to say about that. Princeton trying to become the second number 15 seed, along with St. Peter's from last year, to get to the Elite Eight. But it's Alabama to begin with Friday night, 7.5-point favorites against the Aztecs. I'm surprised that it keeps, it didn't go down. It went up, settling at 7.5 now. Houston also 7.5-point favorite now against the Hurricanes. Creighton, 9.5-point favorites, down a tick against Princeton. And then Texas and Xavier to round out the evening. Texas, 4.5-point favorites. What do you like best?
I'll start with San Diego State, Alabama. I'm torn between what I like most between San Diego State and the under. I just think it's sort of like a 66-60 cut type of game where points are at a premium. So, look, you could probably talk me into a 2-team parlay with San Diego State and the under because if San Diego State covers, I would look towards an under here, and I would look towards an under anyway. I just think Alabama, their length, their athleticism can bother San Diego State, who gets stuck offensively at times and goes through these dry spells. On the other side of the ball, San Diego State does a really good job at what Bama's good at, getting to the rim, the three-point line. They're good at slowing the pace down. So I think that I really like the under in that one. Miami-Houston, I would take the points. I just think their guard play is really good. I think they play bigger than they are. They were outsized against Indiana, but they were able to hang on the glass and do a decent job rebounding. I think Houston's good, but a little bit overrated. So I think Miami can hang in that game. And I know nobody likes that coach, but man, he seems to know his way around this tournament. Made the Elite Eight last year, went to the Final Four with George Mason. He's a good tournament coach. So I like Miami plus the points. I was on Princeton pretty big Saturday against Missouri. I think they get run out of the building here. I just think they're a tough team to prep for on short rest. They run that motion offense. Not a lot of teams run that. They are, they take time off the clock. They know how to slow the pace down. I just think Creighton's better in terms of shot making, bigger, quicker. I just think Creighton's going to have all the advantages here. There's some times here where Cinderella, when it comes undone, it comes undone and it can be ugly. We saw that with St. Peter's last year. So I think Creighton wins this game and wins it pretty comfortably. As far as Texas Xavier, to me, that's an over game. I would lean towards Texas. I don't like laying 4.5 for some reason in this game. If I had to, I would. And I think that's an over. I just think Xavier's an over team. I think they can score. I don't think they're any good on defense. I would expect Texas to move on in that game.
I was with you on Princeton against Mizzou, had them in Survivor. I will say this. If Creighton somehow loses to Princeton on Friday, Survivor will be effectively over at that point. There will be so many people, such a high percentage on Creighton. So real quick, because I want to get your NBA thoughts. Your favorite one on Thursday, your favorite one on Friday then is?
Florida Atlantic on Thursday, and I'll actually go Creighton on Friday.
Oh, okay. Laying the wood there. All right.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.